Prince was a man who had everything most people could only dream of. He was young, rich, and very handsome. His businesses stretched across the country, and everyone who knew him admired his success. People called him the Golden Son because everything he touched seemed to turn to gold. But despite all the wealth and admiration, Prince was not happy. The pain of his last relationship still haunted him like a bad dream. He had loved Sonia with all his heart. Sonia was beautiful, smart, and confident. Everything Prince thought he wanted in a partner. He had spared no expense to make her happy. Expensive gifts, surprise trips, and endless attention. Prince gave her everything. But Sonia was not satisfied. She loved the money, the gifts, and the lifestyle, but not Prince. She wanted more. More attention, more excitement, and, sadly, another man. Prince found out the truth on a night he would never forget. He had planned a big surprise for Sonia's birthday. He filled her favorite restaurant with flowers and invited her closest friends and family. He even had a diamond necklace specially made for her. But Sonia never showed up. Prince waited and waited, his heart sinking with every passing minute. He called her phone, but she didn't answer. Then one of his friends whispered something that made his blood run cold. "She's with someone else," the friend said. "They are at the hotel across town." Prince didn't want to believe it, but deep down, he knew it was true. He rushed to the hotel, hoping his friend was wrong. But when he got there, he saw Sonia with another man. They were laughing and holding hands as if Prince never existed. That night, something in Prince broke. He ended things with Sonia immediately, but the pain didn't go away. No matter how much money or success he had, he couldn't escape the feeling of betrayal. He told himself he would never marry. He said love was not worth the risk. For years, Prince kept his promise. He focused on his businesses and stayed away from serious relationships. Women still tried to win his heart, but he never let anyone get too close. But everything changed when his mother fell sick. Prince's mother was his closest companion and biggest supporter. She had raised him alone after his father passed away when he was a child. She was proud of the man he had become, but she always worried about his loneliness. "Prince," she said one evening as she lay weak in her bed, "promise me one thing." "Anything, mother," Prince said, holding her hand. "Find someone to share your life with. A woman who will love you for who you are, not for what you have." Prince's heart tightened. He didn't want to argue with his mother, especially in her fragile state. But he also didn't know if he could open his heart again. "Mother, he began, but she stopped him. "Promise me," she said, her voice firm despite her weakness. "It is my last wish." Tears filled Prince's eyes as he nodded. "I promise," he said. His mother passed away a few weeks later, leaving a hole in Prince's heart that no amount of wealth could fill. He missed her deeply, but her last words stayed with him. He couldn't ignore her dying wish. Prince thought long and hard about how he could find the right woman. He didn't want another Sonia, someone who would love his money more than him. He wanted someone genuine, someone kind. But how could he be sure of a person's true intentions? Then, one night, an idea came to him. "What if I pretend to be poor?" he thought. The plan seemed crazy, but the more he thought about it, the more sense it made. If he lived like an ordinary man, he could see who would love him for his character and not his wealth. Prince decided to go through with it. He packed up a few simple clothes and left his luxurious mansion. He rented a small, run-down room in a quiet town far from where anyone knew him. He changed his name to Michael and found a modest job at a local carpentry shop. For the first time in years, Prince felt free. There were no bodyguards, no flashy cars, and no people trying to impress him. He was just Michael, an ordinary man looking for an extraordinary love. But would his plan work? Prince didn't know, but he was determined to find out. Prince, now going by the name Michael, woke up early each morning to a life completely different from the one he had always known. His new home was a small, dusty room with cracks in the walls and a leaky roof. There was no air conditioning, no expensive furniture, and no chef to prepare his meals. The only luxury he had was the old fan that whirred loudly in the corner, barely keeping the room cool. At first, Michael found it difficult to adjust. He wasn't used to washing his own clothes or cooking simple meals on a charcoal stove. He missed the comfort of his mansion and the taste of the rich food he used to eat. But he reminded himself why he was doing this. He needed to find a woman who loved him for who he was, not what he had. Michael got a job at a carpentry shop owned by a kind old man named Barber. The shop was small and busy, with sawdust always floating in the air. Michael's hands, once soft and smooth, quickly grew rough from handling tools and lifting heavy wood. "You're a hard worker," Barber told him one day. "But you look like someone who's not used to this kind of life." Michael smiled. "Everyone has to start somewhere, Barber." The days turned into weeks, and Michael started to blend in with the people in the town. He made friends with the other workers at the carpentry shop and became a familiar face at the small market where he bought his food. Nobody knew who he really was, and for the first time in a long while, Michael felt invisible. But his plan wasn't just about living a simple life, it was about finding love. One afternoon, as Michael carried a pile of wood into the shop, he noticed a young woman struggling to lift a heavy basket of plantains outside. She wore a faded green dress and had a bright scarf tied around her hair. Her face was covered in sweat, but her smile was warm and inviting. "Let me help you with that," Michael said, walking over. The woman looked surprised, but nodded. "Thank you," she said, her voice soft. Michael lifted the basket easily and carried it to her small stall at the corner of the market. "You should be careful with heavy loads like this," he said. "It's not good for your back." The woman laughed. "If I don't carry it, who will? Life doesn't give us many choices, does it?" Michael found himself smiling. "What's your name?" "Jennifer," she said. "And you?" "Michael," he replied. From that day on, Michael found excuses to visit Jennifer's stall. She sold fruits and vegetables, and her cheerful personality quickly made her popular with customers. She was hardworking and kind, always ready to help anyone in need. Michael liked her simplicity and the way she seemed content with her life despite its challenges. He learned that she lived with her younger brother, Bright, whom she was taking care of after their parents passed away. She's different, Michael thought. But he also knew he had to be careful. He couldn't let his feelings grow too fast without knowing if Jennifer could accept him for who he truly was. One evening, as the sun began to set, Michael found himself sitting outside Jennifer's stall. The market was quiet, and most of the vendors had gone home. Jennifer was packing up her goods, and Michael offered to help. "Thank you, Michael," she said. "You are always so helpful." "It's nothing," Michael replied. "You work harder than anyone I know." Jennifer smiled, but didn't say anything. For a moment, they sat in silence, watching the sky turn shades of orange and pink. "Do you ever think about the future?" Michael asked suddenly. Jennifer looked at him curiously. "Of course. Everyone does." "What kind of future do you want?" he pressed. Jennifer sighed. "A simple one. A home where my brother can grow up safely, and maybe one day, someone to share my life with. But finding someone genuine is not easy. People always want something. They are never satisfied with what's real." Michael's heart skipped a beat. Her words hit close to home. And you? Jennifer asked, turning to look at him. What kind of future do you want? Michael hesitated. He couldn't tell her the truth, not yet. I want to live a life that matters, he said finally. With someone who sees me for who I am, not what I have. Jennifer nodded thoughtfully. That's a good dream. As the days went by, Michael's bond with Jennifer grew stronger. She introduced him to her brother, Bright, a bright and energetic boy who immediately took a liking to Michael. Together, they shared meals, laughter, and stories about their lives. But even as Michael grew closer to Jennifer, he couldn't shake the fear in his heart. Would she still care for him if she knew he wasn't really poor? Could she love him for who he truly was? One day, as Michael walked home from the carpentry shop, he spotted two men talking near the market. They were pointing at Jennifer's stall and laughing. Did you hear? One of them said. That Michael guy is always hanging around her. But I don't think he has anything to offer her. The other man snorted. She's wasting her time with someone like him. Jennifer deserves better. Michael clenched his fists but kept walking. He couldn't let their words get to him. He had to stay focused on his plan. But as he lay in bed that night, staring at the cracked ceiling, doubts filled his mind. What if this doesn't work? He wondered. What if I lose her too? Michael's days in the town became a delicate dance of hope and fear. The bond between him and Jennifer grew stronger with each passing day, but his secret weighed heavily on him. How much longer could he keep it hidden? Would Jennifer forgive him if she found out he had lied about his identity? One sunny afternoon, Michael and Jennifer sat under a large mango tree near the edge of the market. The air was warm, but a cool breeze rustled the leaves, providing some relief. They had just finished sharing a simple meal of roasted plantains and peanuts, and Jennifer's laughter rang out like music in Michael's ears. You have a way of making me forget my worries, Michael, Jennifer said, smiling at him. Michael's heart swelled. And you have a way of reminding me what matters most, he replied. Jennifer's face grew serious. You know, sometimes I wonder about you. Michael stiffened. What do you mean? You're different from most people here, she said thoughtfully. You work hard, but there's something about you that doesn't add up. It's like you don't fully belong in this life. Michael forced a laugh, hoping to deflect her curiosity. Maybe I'm just good at keeping people guessing. Jennifer chuckled, but Michael could see the doubt lingering in her eyes. He knew she was beginning to sense that there was more to him than he was letting on. That evening, as Michael walked home, he realized he couldn't keep his secret forever. If he truly wanted a future with Jennifer, he would have to tell her the truth. But how? The following week, Michael decided to take a small step toward honesty. He invited Jennifer and her brother, Bright, to visit a quiet spot by the river just outside the town. It was a place he had discovered during one of his solitary walks, a peaceful haven surrounded by tall trees and wildflowers. Jennifer and Bright arrived with wide smiles, carrying a small basket of food. This place is beautiful, Jennifer exclaimed, her eyes shining as she looked around. I thought you might like it, Michael said, feeling a flicker of pride. They spent the afternoon playing games, eating, and enjoying the serenity of the riverbank. Bright splashed in the shallow water, laughing loudly, while Michael and Jennifer sat on a large rock, watching him. Michael, Jennifer said suddenly, her voice soft. Yes? Why do you do all this for us? You barely know us, yet you've been so kind. Michael hesitated, choosing his words carefully. Because you and Bright remind me of something I lost a long time ago. Jennifer frowned slightly. What did you lose? Michael looked away, his gaze fixed on the flowing river. Someone I cared about betrayed me. It made me question everything about myself and the people around me. But meeting you has helped me find a piece of the hope I thought I had lost." Jennifer placed a gentle hand on his arm. "I'm sorry you went through that, Michael. But I'm glad we met. You've become a part of our little family." Her words warmed Michael's heart, but they also deepened his resolve. He couldn't keep pretending forever. That night Michael lay awake in his small room, turning his plan over in his mind. He would find the right moment to tell Jennifer the truth about who he was. But until then, he needed to ensure that she truly cared for him, not the version of himself he had created. The next day, Michael noticed a man lingering near Jennifer's stall. The man was tall and well-dressed, with a confident air that set him apart from the other market-goers. He spoke to Jennifer with a wide smile, leaning in closer than necessary. Michael felt a surge of jealousy but forced himself to stay calm. He watched from a distance as Jennifer laughed politely at something the man said. When the man finally left, Michael approached the stall. "Who was that?" he asked, trying to sound casual. "Oh, just someone who says he wants to help me expand my business," Jennifer said, brushing it off. Michael's stomach churned. "And what do you think?" Jennifer shrugged. "I don't know. He seems nice, but I've learned to be cautious. Not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions." Michael nodded, relief washing over him. But he couldn't shake the feeling that this man might become a problem. A few days later, Michael overheard a conversation between two women at the market. "Have you seen that new man around Jennifer's stall?" one of them whispered. "I hear he's very rich." "Rich?" the other replied. "Maybe Jennifer will finally find someone who can take care of her and her brother." Michael clenched his fists. He had come to the town to escape his wealth and find genuine love, but now it seemed that the very thing he was running from might ruin everything. That evening, Michael found Jennifer sitting outside her small home, peeling cassava. He sat down beside her, his heart heavy with worry. "Jennifer," he began, "can I ask you something?" "Of course," she said, looking up at him. "If someone came into your life offering you everything you've ever wanted, money, comfort, security, would you leave everything else behind for it?" Jennifer laughed softly. "Michael, where is this coming from?" "Just answer," he insisted, his voice serious. Jennifer paused, her expression thoughtful. "I've always believed that true happiness doesn't come from wealth. It comes from the people who stand by you, no matter what. I wouldn't trade that for anything." Michael's chest tightened. Her words were exactly what he had hoped to hear, but doubt still gnawed at him. What if she was just saying that? What if the temptation of wealth proved too strong? As the moon rose high in the sky, Michael made a silent vow. He would test Jennifer's feelings, even if it meant risking everything. The following days were tense for Michael. His feelings for Jennifer had deepened, but uncertainty hung over him like a storm cloud. The man from the market continued to visit Jennifer's stall, and whispers about his wealth grew louder. Michael felt the weight of his plan more than ever. Could Jennifer truly love him for who he was? Would the allure of a wealthy life take her away from him? Michael decided it was time to put her to the test. He arranged to meet with a friend from his former life, a trusted confidant named Patrick, who had helped him keep his disguise a secret. Together, they devised a plan. Patrick would pose as a rich man interested in Jennifer, offering her everything Michael's wealth could buy. If Jennifer remained true to her values, Michael would know her love was genuine. One morning, Patrick arrived in the town in a sleek car, dressed in expensive clothes that shimmered under the sun. He made an immediate impression on the villagers, who stared and whispered as he made his way to the market. He approached Jennifer's stall with a confident smile, greeting her warmly. Patrick's presence created a stir. His charm and polished demeanor made him stand out among the modest townsfolk. He bought several items from Jennifer, paying more than they were worth, and spoke to her with an air of admiration. Michael watched from a distance, his heart pounding as Patrick carried out the plan. Over the next few days, Patrick visited Jennifer regularly, each time bringing gifts and speaking of a life of ease and luxury. He told her stories of his large home, his many businesses, and the opportunities he could provide. The villagers began to gossip, speculating that Jennifer might soon leave her simple life behind to join Patrick in his world of wealth. Michael struggled with his emotions. He wanted to believe in Jennifer's sincerity, but doubt crept in as he watched her interact with Patrick. She seemed polite and grateful, yet there was no sign that she was swayed by his advances. One evening, Patrick returned to Michael with his observations. He admitted that while Jennifer had been kind and respectful, she had shown no real interest in his wealth or his proposals. She had even mentioned her contentment with her current life and the people she cared about. Patrick's words brought Michael some relief, but he knew he couldn't relax just yet. He had one final test in mind. This time, he would confront Jennifer directly, revealing a glimpse of his true self without exposing everything. The next day, Michael invited Jennifer and her brother, Bright, to a small gathering in the neighboring town. He explained that a friend had offered to host them, providing a rare opportunity for them to enjoy a night of fine food and entertainment. Jennifer hesitated, unsure about leaving her responsibilities, but Michael convinced her it would be a chance to unwind. The gathering was held in a beautiful courtyard, lit by lanterns and filled with the aroma of delicious food. Jennifer and Bright marveled at the setting, their faces glowing with excitement. Michael felt a pang of guilt as he watched them, knowing he was about to put Jennifer in a difficult position. As the evening progressed, Michael revealed his plan. He stood before Jennifer, his voice steady but filled with emotion, and told her about a man who had once been wealthy but had lost everything. He described how this man had come to the town, seeking solace and a fresh start, and how he had found hope in her kindness and strength. Jennifer listened intently, her expression unreadable. Michael's heart raced as he waited for her response. He wondered if she would see through his words and recognize the truth. After a long pause, Jennifer spoke, her tone calm yet firm. She said she believed that true wealth lay in the relationships and experiences that shaped a person, not in material possessions. She admitted that while life was not easy, she had learned to find joy in the small things and the people who stood by her side. Michael felt a rush of relief and admiration. Jennifer's words confirmed what he had hoped to find, a woman who valued character and connection over riches. He realized that he couldn't keep his secret any longer. Later that night, Michael sat alone, thinking about the journey he had taken. His heart ached with the weight of his deception, but he knew the time had come to tell Jennifer the full truth. He would risk everything, her trust, her affection, to give her the honesty she deserved. The next morning, Michael visited Jennifer at her stall. The market was busy with activity, but he felt a strange calm as he approached her. He greeted her with a warm smile, and she returned it, unaware of the storm brewing inside him. Michael took a deep breath, preparing to speak. Just as he opened his mouth, a familiar figure appeared in the distance. It was the man who had been visiting Jennifer earlier. The one the villagers had whispered about. He walked toward the stall with a determined stride, his eyes fixed on Jennifer. Michael's heart sank as he realized that his moment of truth would have to wait. A new challenge had arrived, one that could change everything. The unexpected arrival of the man who had been visiting Jennifer brought tension to the scene. He was tall, confident, and clearly determined. Michael stepped aside, watching cautiously as the man approached Jennifer's stall. For a moment, Michael thought the man might try to propose something significant, perhaps even reveal his own intentions toward Jennifer. The man greeted Jennifer warmly and started a conversation about the items on her stall. He spoke about how much he admired her hard work and honesty. Michael could feel a knot tightening in his stomach. His patience was wearing thin, but he knew he needed to see how Jennifer would handle this situation. After a few minutes, the man began to boast about his wealth and status in another town. He hinted that he could offer Jennifer a better life, a life of comfort and ease, far from the struggles of the market. Jennifer listened politely, her face calm but unreadable. She thanked the man for his kind words but didn't show any sign of being swayed by his promises. Michael observed her closely, trying to read her emotions. He noticed that while she was respectful, she didn't seem interested in the man's overtures. This gave him a small glimmer of hope, but he still felt uneasy. As the man left, Michael took a deep breath and approached Jennifer. The moment had come to reveal the truth. He couldn't keep hiding who he was, especially now that he had seen how she valued honesty and simplicity. Michael started by asking Jennifer if she trusted him. She smiled and nodded, saying she appreciated his kindness and friendship. With that small assurance, he decided to tell her everything. He explained how he had come to the town under a false identity, pretending to be poor to find a woman who would love him for his character, not his wealth. Jennifer's expression shifted as she processed his words. She looked surprised, perhaps even hurt, but she remained quiet, allowing Michael to finish. He told her about his heartbreak in the past, his mother's dying wish, and how meeting her had changed his perspective on life. When he was done, there was silence between them. Michael braced himself for her reaction, uncertain of what she might say. Jennifer finally spoke, her voice calm but firm. She told Michael that she understood his reasons for hiding his true identity, but she felt betrayed that he hadn't trusted her enough to be honest from the start. She admitted that she had grown fond of him, but his deception made her question whether she could truly trust him. Michael felt a pang of regret. He realized that while his plan had been well-intentioned, it had also caused pain to the one person he cared about the most. He apologized sincerely, promising to make amends and prove his commitment to her. For the next few days, Michael gave Jennifer space. He focused on showing her his true self, not as the wealthy man he had hidden but as the person who genuinely cared for her. He helped her with her stall, supported her family, and spent time with the villagers, earning their respect and trust. Slowly, Jennifer began to see the sincerity in Michael's actions. She noticed how he treated everyone with kindness, regardless of their status, and how he remained humble despite his wealth. Her heart softened, though she remained cautious. One evening, Michael invited Jennifer and her brother to his home. This time, he didn't hide anything. He took them to his grand estate, explaining that he wanted them to see where he came from and understand that his feelings for Jennifer had nothing to do with her social status. Jennifer was overwhelmed by the grandeur of Michael's home. She had never imagined such wealth, but what touched her most was the simplicity and humility with which Michael carried himself. He spoke about his late mother, sharing how her values had shaped his life and how much it meant to him to honor her final wish. As they walked through the estate, Michael led Jennifer to a small garden where his mother had spent her final days. It was a peaceful place, filled with flowers and a bench where she used to sit. Michael told Jennifer that this was where he had promised his mother he would find a wife who loved him for who he was, not for his wealth. Jennifer listened quietly, her heart heavy with emotion. She realized that despite his initial deception, Michael's intentions had been pure. He had taken a difficult path to find genuine love, and his actions had proven his sincerity. After a long silence, Jennifer turned to Michael and said she forgave him. She admitted that she had grown to care for him deeply and was willing to give their relationship a chance. Michael felt a wave of relief and gratitude. He promised to spend the rest of his life making her happy and proving that her trust in him was not misplaced. The villagers were stunned when they heard about Michael's true identity. Some were skeptical, others were proud that one of their own had captured the heart of such a man. Jennifer, however, remained grounded. She continued working at her store, with Michael supporting her in every way he could. In time, Michael and Jennifer's relationship blossomed. They celebrated their union with a modest ceremony in the village, attended by the people who had been part of their journey. Michael donated generously to the village, ensuring that the market and other community projects flourished. Jennifer never let the wealth change her. She remained humble and hardworking, just as she had always been. Michael, too, stayed true to the values his mother had instilled in him. Together, they built a life based on trust, respect, and genuine love. As they sat in the garden one evening, watching the sunset, Michael reflected on how far he had come. He realized that his mother's dying wish had not only led him to find love but had also taught him the true meaning of wealth. It wasn't in money or possessions but in the relationships and moments that made life worth living. And so, the rich man who had once sworn never to marry found his greatest treasure in the woman who loved him for who he truly was.